It's me, Kieran Chats, and today I'm chatting all things WWE Unreal Season 3, Episode number 3. My first two episode reviews are already live. Go and check them out, and hey, make sure you follow along as well for some more WWE and pop culture content with me, Kieran Halpin. I go by Kieran Chats here on TikTok. So, episode number 3, Rise and Rumble, and as this suggests, this is all about the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, plus all about the rise of NXT superstars Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Sol Ruka. That is the stories we are going to be covering in WWE's Unreal, episode 3 of this season of Unreal. Let's get into WWE Unreal, season 3, episode number 3. This is Rise and Rumble. So we're on the road to the Royal Rumble in this episode, and the men and women, we basically have the Royal Rumble matches they think thought out of in their head. We are back in the writer's room. Triple H is saying for the men, I think they're going to go with Braun Breaker. Triple H, though, he's not 100% confident with that, but that seems to be the way that he is leaning. We learn nothing else about that at this particular moment. He says, though, for the women, it is much clearer. Liv Morgan, she should be cleared by the time the Royal Rumble rolls around in Saudi Arabia, and he says if she is healthy enough, that's the only concern, Liv Morgan is going to be the winner of the 2026 Royal Rumble. Cut back then to Liv's barn back at her house. Obviously, when you're injured, WWE lends you a ring, so she has her own WWE graded ring in that barn, and they do this amazing shot in the barn where they have a camera just positioned over the ring, but they have overlaid loads of different shots of Liv Morgan working out, getting back in ring shape, but they never stop the overlay. They keep the overlay there, and it's a really effective shot. It's really cool. Next then, we are in Birmingham, Alabama with Seth freaking Rollins. He is on the train. He tells us he's going to see the doctor. He's going to get his operation on his shoulder. This is an amazing bit of television next, because the nurse comes in and tells him the exact surgery that he's having. It is about a paragraph and a half long of everything that's wrong with Seth Rollins' shoulder. It is incredible that they're even able to fix this, but apparently those doctors in Alabama and Birmingham are unbelievable. And we get to see Becky Lynch then, who's Seth Rollins' wife. She is there, and she's like, oh my God, like this is so scary. She's more afraid than Seth Rollins is. And then the doctor who's going to be performing the surgery comes in and says to Becky, hey, do you want to watch? And Becky's like, no, I can't do it. I don't like blood. Absolutely not. And the doctor's like, oh, you can go in and, there's a TV screen there and you can see if you want. And Becky's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just go in. Cut then to the next scene, and you actually get to see the inside of Seth Rollins' shoulder, and Becky Lynch absolutely cowering in the corner. There's blood. There's everything. It's amazing. Then, you get back and Seth Rollins is there. And what do you think the first thing Seth Rollins is doing? He's having a little drink and he's watching WWE SmackDown as Becky Lynch is trying to do his bun up in his hair. And it's a heartwarming moment between husband and wife, a man who's just come out of general anesthetic. And the first thing he thinks of is, hey, I better go and see what's happening in SmackDown. Seth Rollins, a true wrestling fan. Then we get to Survivor Series War Games, where they have already decided that Braun Breaker is going to be the man they are going to give the most rub to in this match. Going to be the man who they are going to showcase on this match. Then, what looks like the unthinkable happens. CM Punk gives him what looks like a pretty innocuous kind of suplex, but Braun Breaker lands right on his neck. And Triple H is in gorilla position and he is going absolutely berserk. He's like, check on Braun. Because at this stage, it looked like Braun Breaker had done something very serious to his neck. And then you get to see this really cool moment where Triple H and Michael Hayes are trying to book on the fly while they're waiting to hear from the referee, from the doctor, if Braun Breaker is actually hurt. You can really see the inner workings of live television in that moment, because Michael Hayes then says, hey, maybe Bronson Reed can be the man in this match because he's going to go out and be in this War Games match. So they're thinking and they're going through everything in the motions. They're going, can you do this? Can Bronson Reed do this? All while this is going on, Braun Breaker is over and they've told him to come to the edge of the cage, let the referee talk to him, let the doctor talk to him. After a couple of minutes then of Triple H and Michael Hayes going back and forth with Bronson Reed in the gorilla position, word filters through that Braun Breaker is actually okay. He's going to be able to finish the match, going to be able to do his spots. And then afterwards, Braun Breaker comes and tells us, even if I was hurt or even if I was a little bit hurt, and he was a little bit hurt, he landed on his neck, he was a little bit of a stinger, I suppose he had. He said, I was always going to finish that match, always going to do that spot. And he comes back to Triple H in the corner, in the gorilla position, and he says to him, like, I'd run through a brick wall for you, like I'd work injured for you. And Triple H just goes, yeah, but I don't want you to. A real difference you see there in what might have been the wrestling industry in the past. These guys are all about protecting their talent. We then get introduced to a brand new superstar in the world of WWE Unreal. Triple H says it's now time to bring up someone who has pretty much done everything they can do in NXT. He's been there for 4 or 5 years, and that is Trick Williams. Trick Williams, we get his spotlight, and one of the first things we see of Trick Williams is he goes and he brings his wife now, fiance at the time, Lash Legend, to an elephant sanctuary, and they feed an elephant. We get introduced to a second NXT superstar. We already saw a little bit of him at Saturday night's main event for John Cena's last match, but Obafemi, here he comes. And the first thing we learned about him is that he used to compete in the shot put at his university, and he still has the actual shot put ball that he won numerous national championships with. And then how he got signed by WWE. Someone from WWE's recruitment program sent him a DM on Instagram. He didn't believe it first. He had to do some research. He figured out actually this was a real thing. He went along to the tryouts, and he is now a WWE superstar. Always check your DMs. 3 years ago in the first series of WWE Unreal, we met Chelsea Green, who had an absolute shell of a house. Fast forward 3 years later, that house is 100% complete, and we get to see her and her now WWE superstar boyfriend, husband again, Mr. Mark Cardona. The funniest bit of this whole interaction with Chelsea and Matt is when Chelsea said, I had to build a house big enough for Matt's toy collection, and we get to see that room of toys. Let me tell you, as a toy fan, it is absolutely amazing. I need to see it, I need to be there. It's amazing. In fact, no way my wife will allow me to have a toy collection like Mark Cardona has. And then we learned how Matt Cardona actually proposed to Chelsea Green. He put the ring inside a toy Undertaker casket, knowing that there was no way Chelsea Green was going to ever look in that toy chest. We're then in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the Royal Rumble. We get a couple of different spots. We get to see the inner workings of the Royal Rumble. Maybe not as much as we have in the past, but we do get to see Sol Ruka being an absolute champion in the Royal Rumble. She was one of the superstars that they showcased. And then, of course, Liv Morgan as well. She wins the Royal Rumble. She's so emotional, she actually forgets to point at the sign. The referee had to yell at her to point at the sign and says, Liv, you need to point at the sign. And when she does it with style. She takes it all in. The men's Royal Rumble then, they tell us the story of Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, and we know that the two of them went on to have a match at WrestleMania and a match at Clash in Italy as well. And then the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match, they went with someone who is a absolute surefire main eventer. Of course, they went with Mr. Roman Reigns. I didn't enjoy episode 3 as much as 1 and 2. There was bits and pieces that I enjoyed it. I did like the Seth Rollins seeing the backstage of his surgery in Alabama, and I enjoyed the Liv Morgan stuff as well. And pretty interesting, I suppose, seeing them try to book the potential Braun Breaker injury at Survivor Series War Games. That was really interesting and probably one of my favorite bits, I suppose, of the whole series. But apart from that, the kind of episode was kind of a mid-tier episode for me, and if we're giving it a score out of 10, that one probably a 4 out of 10. But the next one is titled Life Happens, and this is where everything turns around for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and for Stephanie Vaquer as well. We are introduced to her before she takes a nasty injury as well. And Naomi, she's got an announcement to make as well, which definitely means this episode is correctly titled Life Happens. Remember, follow along. I've got episode 4 of WWE Unreal Season 3 review. It's coming for you very shortly right here on Kieran Chats.